So switching gears a little bit, as you guys can see, pretty much my whole center console, dash, cluster are gone. I'm pretty much going to refurbish, paint the center console plastic black again, just because they're kind of just faded. But what the next deal is, I sent my cluster out a guy to repair the leaking capacitors out in Canada. I got to do the rewiring, double DIN speaker or double DIN radio. And then I'm finally got bushings to finally fix the shifter slop. So now I'm going to show you guys what the pieces that I painted, and they actually turned out really well. Painting the center console black, obviously, because it looks super good. But then here's that center console bezel. So on the 93s, they came in kind of this material where it's kind of like flat, matte, and then it really scratches easy. Supposedly that the 93 interior was like the worst interior of the FDs, but doing research, I found out that the 94 and up, they kind of came with this textured coating on them. So I ended up doing that with a couple spray paints. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do radio bezel, also the cluster. And I think it's going to actually turn out really well. So if you can see, I got to get this thing clipped in, but yeah, I just think it looks so freaking sick. Yeah, I think it's going to be a nice, you know, revision to the entire interior of the FD. And not to mention, I also got this guy named Drakelore. He does a lot of 3D printing products for interiors of FDs. So I went with steering column gauge pod. Since this was already kind of like that textured finish, I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna do everything textured. So that's what kind of led to doing this project. It's because of this guy. But put his information somewhere around here. But yeah, he has a lot of good products on his website. And so, and then I'm going with just a simple basic Bosch vacuum boost gauge. Yeah, it's gonna look good. To get that textured look, what I've been using is Duplicolor plastic adhesive promoter texture coating from SEM, and then a satin black from SEM as well. With the plastic promoter, I do like 2 or 3 coats with this, 2 or 3 coats, and then 4 coats with this guy, and then that's how you get that really nice textured look. So I already prepped this guy down, sanded it, and then applied some alcohol to kind of remove any of the grease. Painted and everything, I'd say that looks freaking awesome in my opinion. So a little good nice update to the interior. While the radio bezel is drying, heater AC unit above the bezel off, and so just be careful when you go to take this off, because the factory glue is fairly sticky, surprisingly, for how old the car is. What I'm going to do now is replace these bulbs that are in here. I believe the bulb types are E74. You know, now is the best time more than ever to replace these things. With the new parts here, we got to take the shifter out, so we got 3 10 mils to pull it. We pull it, it's supposed to be like a plastic collar on the end of the knob, and it's kind of in pieces. So I pulled this off earlier. That's what it looked like coming out. And where is the rest of it? There's little itty bitty pieces in there. So now I'm gonna have to take some sort of, probably like needle nose, see if I can get most of this stuff out. Here's the shifter assembly all here. With the old one that was on here, I pretty much just took a razor blade and just cut it because it's trash. This is supposed to go sit on top of here, kind of like the new one. So what I have to do now is pretty much slip this in. I'll probably put some like silicone grease or something, because tight fit, gotta get it come down the shaft. I knew like this bushing right here for there's a little like detent pin on the shifter housing. I'm sure we've all seen it before, but I got a new one of these, a new bushing here, so I'll be replacing this guy. Here's the old collar bushing that sat right here. That just became obliterated. So I got this aluminum one that will sit here and hopefully keep things tighter and not break as much. But here's something I kind of want to bring up. Do you guys see that? The shifter's like bent, and I don't know if it's supposed to be like that. So I don't know if you guys can just message down in the comments like, hey, like the shifter is not supposed to be like that. That'd be awesome, because probably be on the lookout for a new one. But if it is, yeah, let me know too, because I've never seen this before. Transmission mount, like the bushing or this rubber insulator that goes on top. This will go on first, followed by this guy, and then you just use your existing hardware to put the mounts here. When I was pulling the bushing out of the bottom side, all this stuff came apart. So I'm really happy that I'm going about replacing all this stuff. Bushing here that comes with the little metal retainer. So this will be on the top, and then as just like with this, you want to run this down. You want to run this first, then this guy. And what's neat about getting in this by itself is it comes with the gasket. I bought another gasket just thinking it didn't come with it, so yeah, just a little tip. And once we have everything put together, then we'll put the little insulator on top of this guy, and we should be home free. Here you can see the lower transmission bushing in. So like I said, there's a little notch here, and when you have your new bushings on here, just make sure that this guy too is face the direction where that notch is on the transmission. Just use your existing hardware on the that came out, the 10 mils. What I'm gonna do too before I place everything in, I'm just gonna top it off the fluid here a little bit, and we are set. Damn, I love having new parts in this thing. So again, when we first started this, now it's not as sloppy. I love it. Everything feels super direct, as it should be. So it doesn't end there too. There's gonna be some more shifter love just in a little bit. I'm actually kind of tired of these old shifter boot, e-brake boot leathers. So I got a new one. Let me show you. I went with Redline Goods shifter boot, and they have like so many variations of different materials, different colors. I went with the black leather with the red stitching. Obviously the red to match the car, but my Nardi steering wheel has also red stitching, so I think it's gonna look great in the car. Also got one for the e-brake, but here's the old leather that was in the car, and it's just shot obviously because there's holes in it. I just think this is gonna look freaking awesome, and it's gonna be a nice addition to the interior. Like the shifter boot, the e-brake boot, it's pretty, you know, just old and trashed, but I got the new leather on the e-brake boot here, and on the retaining ring with the old setup it was held on by staples, but I ended up just doing like hot glue gun around their little retaining ring here. So just simply I put the center console piece in. So now what you need to do is just there's a clip here that attaches right here, and then there is a fastener on this end that goes in here. And so once I put the actual bezel, center console bezel, you'll see like what it'll look like. And then with the shifter boot here, I put it around the retaining ring that's here. So what I did is I took the old boot, and pretty much there's little slits here, and with the slits I just took like a paint pen and just kind of mimicked where the slits were, put them on the new leather. So you can see that with the slits, you can see the little tabs that hold the boot together. So now it's pretty nice. And then there's a little collar ring inside of here. I just pretty much salvaged this and just super glued it onto the leather. But yeah, we'll see what it looks like with the bezel on. So the center bezel is on. I got the new shifter boot, e-brake boot on, and it's looking super good. But I have to say that we finally got my gauge cluster came back from Canada, and I am so excited to tell you guys about this. So there is a guy out in Canada, his name is Michael Gagney. I hope I'm not saying your name wrong, but he literally just saved my gauge cluster, and I'm gonna post some videos that he sent me of just doing all of his calibration, finding all the bad capacitors. So let me show you guys. Again, I did the whole textured look on the bezel itself, and then I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram, but there was a moment where I just had like a mental breakdown because I could not get this to paint right. But after some friends giving me their inputs, I finally got this to paint pretty well. But back to the whole gauge cluster. Michael found like 8 capacitors that were just shot. And so the turnaround time, I want to say, was about 2 weeks until I got this. And again, my tack was bad, fuel gauge was bad, and he just went and just calibrated everything. So I'm really excited to finally have a properly working gauge cluster. The way I found him was on the RX-7 group on Facebook. I made a post asking for help trying to get my gauge cluster fixed. And so a few people, you know, tagged him on my thread. And so I sent him a DM and said, hey, this is what's going on. He gave me the rundown of the prices and everything. And I was just like, the price that he quoted me was much cheaper than trying to buy a used JDM cluster, which ranges from like $600 to $1,000. So as soon as he gave me that quote, I went, packaged up everything and sent it straight to him because the price was just too good to be true. And sends you all the videos of him just, you know, calibrating and fixing everything. And he literally sends you pictures of him taking the bad capacitors out and sends you pretty much a report card of like, hey, this is what I found. This is how much it's going to be. Any additional stuff he'll give you a quote for. But yeah, hands down, just like, he's super professional. And yeah, if I ever get another FD and I have a cluster problem, I'm sending it to him. And so this is also for you guys, like, he's the go-to guy, so check him out. On the back of the gauge cluster, I wanted to kind of liven up the interior lighting. So these 4 spots here, I actually replaced them with LED lights. And I'm hoping that once I get to driving this car at nighttime, the illumination from the cluster will be, you know, night and day difference, because it was kind of dim, you know, driving it with the normal halogens. So I'm excited to have LEDs and spots. These guys, I just put normal bulbs back into these, just because I found out that if you put LEDs in these, sometimes they just stay on. Oh man, I am super happy with how this turned out. Just everything looks so good in here. And Drakelore with the steering mount and gauge pod, just awesome. And it doesn't really restrict PM gauge too much, so I'm super happy with that. Boost gauge, all I need to do is just plumb the vacuum hose into the intake manifold. So to plumb your boost gauge, there's 2 ports on your intake manifold, at least on the upper. So this line will be for your blow-off valve, and then here's where you're going to go into for your boost gauge. So I'm going to end the video here. I hope this interior upgrade can help anyone out there that's trying to do the same thing with their interior. But you guys know the business. Like, comment, subscribe. It helps me out a lot. But yeah, until the next episode, see ya.